So last week in my video, I was talking about what it's like to be psychic, and I did a reading for myself and kind of walked through what I was receiving information-wise, what my process was like, how I came to the conclusions. And what came up in the reading last week that I did for myself, I asked my higher self, what's most useful for me to know about tomorrow? The next day. And my message I received was that I may be irritated and to be conscious of that, to notice, to really pay attention to what's going on. After my reading the next day, I was preparing for perhaps a bit of irritation, and that did come. I was making stickers for my friend's bachelorette party, and I've never made stickers before. And I went to the library and used their cry cut machine, and the learning process. Oh gosh, my mom and I were at the library for like 2 hours. And I don't know if you've ever tried to do a project with your mom. Certainly, you haven't tried to do a project with my mom, but she's very detail oriented. So, you're trying to do something new, and then you have someone backseat driving. That looks a little off center. What about this? What about this? You're like, ah. Definitely did have some opportunities to notice when I got irritated. But actually, what I noticed that was really interesting is how much our expectations play into what we see. And the reading I did for myself, I was thinking about, yeah, it makes sense, family dynamics, things that we learned in childhood, that our family, they put us into certain roles, and we have dynamics that are really hard to break. These patterns or these ideas that our parents, our siblings, they had for us. And I realized in the past few days that goes both ways. It's really difficult once you see someone in a certain light to see them differently. And it can be very difficult when you care about someone deeply and you see they're not in a good situation, but you cannot control other people. You can hardly influence them a little bit, but you ultimately, it's up to people themselves to change and to make different choices. And so I noticed that with my mom, I already had certain expectations about how she might react to something or what she might say about something. And I noticed some of my expectations were not positive. I was assuming she would behave in a certain way that would be frustrating or upsetting. And once I noticed that, I realized that I'm not helping her by having these expectations. And I think because I was already primed from my guides to notice and to pay more attention, it's taught me a really valuable lesson. So, what can you do when someone you really care about is stuck in a toxic job or a relationship that isn't very good? In my mom's case, she's stuck in a place that she doesn't want to be, but she's backed herself into a corner so that for all intents and purposes in her mind, she is stuck. There's nowhere for her to go. And that's hard to watch, right? Because when you care about someone, you want them to be happy. You want the best for them. And when they're not making choices out of love and they're very afraid of something, or they're making choices out of fear, out of familiarity, then it can be difficult to witness and still keep your peace. So if there's nothing that you can do for them, if you don't have control, you can't take action on their behalf or make decisions for them, what can you do to support people that you really care about? Well, you can support them by having the best intentions for them and not having expectations. At least on your side, if you're not keeping them in a box, if you're at least thinking of them in the best way possible and leaving that space open for them to create new possibility. And even in your conversations with them, reflecting back what you see that is positive, that you do like, that is good, can help them to find their own strength, right? That's how you really support someone, is not by being codependent, not by solving or fixing their problems for them, but by being a supportive cheerleader and seeing in them unlimited possibility and strength and courage and all of the resources and skills that they have to do these things for themselves. So if you want someone to be strong, you see them as strong. You can't make them strong, but you can see them that way. You can have that expectation, and it does help. It does help to change the energy of the situation. And I wanted to share this really beautiful quote that came up when I was channeling for a friend the other day. It was, find beauty wherever you look, and if you can't find it with your eyes, look again with your heart. And I really loved that. I feel like it makes so much sense. And I've been trying to apply that to my situation with my mom. It's if I can't see it or if I can't work with my mind because my mind's already programmed to think of things a certain way, then I try looking again. And I look from my heart space. Where is there somewhere that I can see my mom as being courageous? I can see her as being loving to herself. All the things that I want for her, right? You look for where they're already doing it, even if it's small. And it might take that tuning into your heart to find something small if it's someone who's going through a really difficult time or they don't really embody those qualities that would help them. That was my message for today. I'm going to do a quick card pull. I thought it would be interesting to ask Spirit, my higher self, your higher self, everyone who's participating, that this video can benefit for some additional guidance on how can we best support our friends and family and those people that we care about when they're going through something and it's out of our control to really help them, where it's something it feels like it takes away our peace and our well-being because it hurts to watch someone that you love hurt. Okay, so first I'm going to pull this. I'm seeing three cards, three categories, and I'm using Denise Jarvie, The Secret Language of Light card. Is it hard to see? Okay, so let me tune in. I pulled three cards. Let's see what each one means. I tune into them and I read the message before I look at the actual card. What does this card mean? Okay, so first question. I see. This card answers the question, and the question that it answers is, how do you best support someone when they're going through a hard time? And you want to be cautious about supporting them in the way that's in their highest and greatest good. That's not you're not giving away your energy, you're not being codependent, you're not giving away too much of yourself or pushing someone to do something they're not ready for. Okay, so if we're not doing that, what are we doing? That's what this card is. Beautiful message. And it's very simple. The message is just love them. Love them as they are. Accept them as they are. Find the good. Find the strength, the courage, all those qualities that you most appreciate and look for them. Look with your eyes, look with your heart, and support them in that way. The card is color. It's beautiful because it has the heart as well. And it has, and I see this card through the question that we asked, as when you shine your light, when you love someone, when you accept them as they are, that is unconditional love. That is your source energy loving someone as they truly are. And the effect of that, you help make things possible for them when you love them and you accept them because it helps people to find their own strength when they're loved, when they have the support of that. Wow. So, what a beautiful, simple answer. How to best support someone you care about without trying to fix their problem? Love them, shine your light, reflect that back to them, show them how they're powerful and how they can figure this out. They've got your love as their support. So, this next card. How do you resolve feeling frustrated or upset? Judging. Oh, yeah, that's it. I got that coming through. Yeah, I noticed some of my expectations, the patterns, the programs of what I think my mom would do or how she would react. There's a judgment in that. Do you know? Because it's very easy to be hurt by someone you love who's in a bad place and they're not making different choices. And yeah, I had a little bit of judgment that I noticed this week towards her. I judged her for not making different decisions to make her life better. But that's not on me to judge. And that's the beauty and the challenge of being human in this time, because we can never know what's actually in someone's highest and greatest good. They might be stuck in a terrible relationship because the timing isn't right for them to meet the partner who's going to be in their highest and greatest good. They might need something from this, or there might be other circumstances. It also might be things that people have agreed to for the benefit of others, right? Like if you think about two souls before incarnating, and one of them wants to learn courage. Well, they might agree to be in a relationship and it's abusive. And of course, you would never say that it's good to be in an abusive relationship. But if this is the opportunity that was created in life for this person to be in an abusive relationship and have the courage to leave, then the person who's abusing them, if they agreed before they incarnated to do this to give them the opportunity for courage, then that was actually in their best, highest path to be in this relationship. And it is loving that someone did that to them. I know it can be very difficult to think about in those terms because abuse is not a good thing, but that's a radical example to show how we can never know what's in someone's highest and greatest good because the impact that they have might be to the benefit of someone else, even if it is harmful in some way. Okay, so what's the message coming through? So it's coming through as a message that's a bit cautionary. It was that when we have the frustration or judgment, it creates walls around our heart. And the reason why we do that is that you want to protect yourself. You want to distance yourself from that person's pain a little bit. And other emotions might be easier to deal with than the pain of accepting they're just where they're at and there's nothing I can do about that. I just have to bear witness to their pain. So having judgment or anger or something else helps kind of put a little bit of a, well, that's their problem and they need to do something about it. And it creates a wall around the heart for protection. Okay, so what is the guidance coming through about when a wall has been created around the heart? Hmm. What I was hearing is when you have a wall that you've created to create distance, you're also disconnecting from the person that you care about. So it, in one hand, serves you because you feel less pain, but on the other hand, it does a disservice because you don't feel as close. You have that space between you, and that's actually hurtful and harmful to both you and that person. You're not shining your love and just loving and accepting them for who they are and what they're doing, whatever's going on in their life. And in the creation of that distance between you, you're also not being fulfilled for what you want in the relationship or your connection, your closeness to that person. So the card is Soul Tree. Hmm. There's a powerful energy to this card. I see the meaning of this card as being that we are all one source. I think that's saying not to ever judge anyone. When you see everyone as an aspect of the universe, as aspect of source, as unlimited, powerful beings with the pure potential to experience as much love and joy and blessing as they would like to, as is possible, it's the best way to support someone to see them as their true selves with their true potential. In that way, you can clear judgment. When you see someone who is in a situation where they're stuck and that's all they can see with their mind, see for them a different path, not something to push them towards or to find out for them, but just to imagine. Imagine for them how they can realize their own potential. My spiritual mentor always says if something happens that isn't a preference, not something that we really like or enjoy, you can ask, what is it about this that's right that I'm missing? And I'm hearing that phrase come through to apply to other people. Once you notice you built up that wall around your heart, you have judgment, pushing, trying to create distance. What else is right about this for this person that I'm missing? How could this work out in their best favor? And what else is right about this that I'm missing for myself? It's possible that in some situations, it's an opportunity for us to grow in our relationship to the people that we care about. It might mean setting boundaries. It might mean I noticed in my case to tell my mom it's really difficult to hear about this and I want to support you. I realize I've never expressed my feelings in the way of it makes me really sad to hear. So we have one more card. So this card, I'm hearing the question that it answers is how do we break patterns? How do we break family dynamics and patterns and roles to create something new, a new energy? Hmm. We are always evolving. We are always creating new versions of ourselves. And you could call it challenge with humanity is that we like things to stay the same. everything I know about this person fits here. And the thing with family dynamics is that they keep people stuck, right? Like your parents see you even as an adult, they're going to think of you as the child. And that's damaging, especially for teenagers. They want to be seen as capable young adults. They don't want to be seen as children anymore. And that creates a lot of distress between parents and their teens. And what happens of why it's difficult to shift that is because there's an agreement of identity on both sides. You are this and I am this. In relation to you being this, I am that. So when you change, when you become a different person, a different being, which you're doing consistently, your relationship to someone else is going to change. And now they are going to be something different to you. And this is where some resistance comes along. It becomes difficult for us to see ourselves as other. On some level, it helps to see who you are in relation to someone else in a way that maybe isn't in the highest and greatest good for either of you. So there's a dance, there's a synchronicity taking place between who you are and who they are as they are changing. It can be scary to make those shifts. Okay, so what is the guidance that's coming through on how to support people? Hmm, beautiful. I was hearing it comes back to that core knowing that we are all beings of unlimited potential. When you see someone as a being of unlimited potential, of course you're going to accept their changes because that's them realizing different potentials. They're changing through these different paths. The more flexible, the more fluid that we can be in our perception of ourselves and others, the more gracefully we can dance together. Hmm. Maybe you were dancing to the waltz, you and this friend or your partner or your parent, and now the beat has changed. And now you're dancing, you're doing the boogie. Literal words that came through. You're doing the boogie. You were waltzing and now you're boogieing. It's a different beat. The way that you engage is going to be different. So if you are open to, oh, the rhythm's going to change and I can adapt to that, and having an awareness of yourself as how you respond to them. If you just sit there and say, we were doing the waltz, I don't want a boogie, then that's going to cause more resistance as this person has flowed and changed into their new movement and you're not seeing them that way. You're stuck saying like, hey, you're my waltzing partner, and now you're not. Well, you can either dance with them in this new way and create a new relationship, and also for yourself, it's a new way of being. For that, the discomfort comes in. If you've been waltzing and now you're boogieing and you don't know the moves, it might take a bit to adapt to. It might take a little bit of growth on your end, but I'm hearing this is the beauty of relationships. This is how we grow together. Maybe you were in the role where you were the person who did fix the problems for your friend. You were that friend that they could always go to for advice and they always listened. And now you're getting burned out. They have the same problems and it's been years and things aren't changing and your advice isn't helpful anymore. Maybe the new dynamic is your friends becoming more capable in the way that you want to see them, and you don't need to care for them. But that involves you seeing your friend in the way of them being strong and supporting them and making their own decision, encouraging them in that, and you realizing, I don't need to fix to be worthy. I don't need to care for them. I don't need to rescue or step in or be the hero to still have a good relationship. I can be over here living my own life and be happy for them taking the steps to build their own life in a healthy way. So this card is Soul Song. I feel like Soul Song is such an apt phrase for this question, right? Because we choose to be born into the families that we're born into. There very much is a calling. There very much is a song. And this speaks to how our song's changing, like that dance. It's a new frequency we're creating. This vibrational frequency that is us, that in every moment is shifting in subtle ways. You're always creating a new song, and that is who you are. It's your way of being. This is me, the new song, the new vibration that I'm singing. Hmm. So in breaking the dynamics and the patterns, you realize that when you sing a new song, that affects the other person's song too. You learn how to dance together, new rhythm. Yeah. As we change, our lights and our rhythm change, and that does affect other people. One more card wants to come through because I want to ask, like, how do we then flow with the change in rhythms? How do we then attune to being in a new song with each other? How does that support breaking the patterns and the old changing out from the old song? The response that I was getting from this card was that all about recognizing that life is temporary and that all things are temporary. When you can hold this fluid space of all things are changing and in constant movement, you can have more gratitude. It actually helps to connect more deeply to someone and to hold them without judgment when you consider that everything is finite. It's what death does to life. Death makes life valuable. If life was eternal, if it wasn't so precious, if it wasn't so mysterious and unknown, how long or the quality of life that we'll have, that makes every moment valuable. It gives it meaning. And when you can be grateful for your relationship and accepting of things as they are because you don't know when they might change, or perhaps even you might have to say goodbye. If either the person passes away, they move, the relationship ends, you fall out, whatever it is. It's like that phrase, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. It's this process of learning acceptance and finding peace, regardless of our external circumstances, goes the same with people. Can recognize that the circumstances with this person may change too. Ah, beautiful. This card is soul family. That's just it, right? Your soul family. People come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And regardless of how long that they're in your life for, whether it's an hour, a day, a year, a decade, they're part of your soul family. They came into your life. And in this way, you get to appreciate every person who comes into your life. It's like when I worked at a nickel mine, my boss there said every person he meets, he believes that he can learn something from them. There's something valuable that every person has to offer. And that's what I see as this card's message. When you see each person as having something valuable to offer you, regardless of your interaction, you can love them, see them as who they are to you. It's pretty funny that all three of these cards, soul song, soul tree, and soul family, in the way of knowing that we're all connected. Your friend, your family, whoever they are, maybe you've been hundreds, if not thousands, of lifetimes together. And every lifetime, every moment you experience together is something unique and different and valuable, something to be grateful for. Okay, so thank you for your time, and I will talk to you next week.